Greetings and welcome back once again. This is Imuna with another episode of Noteworthy, a little different format, not a video today. It is an article. I was doing a little research on this whole conversation around welfare and how it broke up the so-called black family and I want to know what the women at that time and the men of that time thought and what their choices were. A lot of us weren't even born, so we should let them speak for themselves, yeah? I came across, as I was studying, this woman named Johnnie Tillman. And so this was an essay written in, as you see, spring of 1972, and she titled it "Welfare is a Woman's Issue." So let's hear some of her thoughts, and it's going to come together in further videos. Society needs women on welfare as examples to let every woman, factory workers and housewives workers alike, know what will happen if she lets up, if she's laid off, if she tries to go it alone without a man. That was an outtake. So let's go ahead and read what in the world is she talking about. We need an editor's note. So when Miss was launched as one-shot sample insert in New York Magazine 1971, it was a brazen act of independence. At the time, the feminist movement was either denigrated or dismissed in the so-called mainstream media. Most magazines marketed to women were limited to advice about finding a husband, saving marriages, raising babies, or using the right cosmetics. So basically, in honor of Women's History Month, they pulled this one out the vault. So from the spring of 1972, this is Johnnie Tillman's words, okay? I'm a woman, I'm a black woman, I'm poor, I'm fat, a fat woman, I'm a middle-aged woman, and I'm on welfare. In this country, if you're any of those things, you count less as a human being. If you're all those things, you don't count at all, except as a statistic. I'm 45 years old. I have raised 6 children. There are millions of statistics like me, some on welfare, some not, and some really poor, who don't even know they're entitled to welfare. Not all of them are black. Not at all. In fact, the majority, about 2/3 of all the poor families in the country, are white. Welfare's like a traffic accident. It can happen to anybody, but especially it happens to women. And that's why welfare is a woman's issue. For a lot of middle-class women in this country, women's liberation is a matter of concern. For women on welfare, it's a matter of survival. Survival. That's why we had to go on welfare, and that's why we can't get off welfare now. Not us women, not until we do something about liberating poor women in this country. Because up until now, we've been raised to expect to work all our lives for nothing, because we are the worst educated, the least skilled, and the lowest paid people there are, because we have to be almost totally responsible for our children, because we are regarded by everybody as dependents. That's why we are on welfare, and that's why we stay on it. Welfare is the most prejudiced institution in this country, even more than marriage, which it tries to imitate. Let me explain that a little. 99% of welfare families are headed by women. There is no man around. In half the states, there can't be men around because AFDC, Aid to Families with Dependent Children, says if there is an able-bodied man around, then you can't be on welfare. If the kids are going to eat and the man can't get a job, then he's got to go. Welfare is like a super sexist marriage. You trade in a man for the man, but you can't divorce him if he treats you bad. He can divorce you, of course, cut you off at any time he wants. But in that case, he keeps the kids, not you. The man runs everything. In ordinary marriage, sex is supposed to be for your husband. On AFDC, you're not supposed to have any sex at all. You give up control of your own body. Sorry about that. It's a condition of aid. You may even have to agree to get your tubes tied so you can never have more children, just to avoid being cut off of welfare. The man, the welfare system, controls your money. He tells you what to buy, what not to buy, where to buy it, and how much things cost. If things, rent for instance, really cost more than he says they do, it's just too bad for you. He's always right. That's why Governor Ronald Reagan, he was governor at that time, can get away with slandering welfare recipients, calling them lazy parasites, pigs at the trough, and such. We've been trained to believe that the only reason people are on welfare is because there's something wrong with their character. If people have motivation, if people only want to work, they can, and they will be able to support themselves and their kids in decency. The truth is, a job doesn't necessarily mean an adequate income. There are some 10 million jobs that now pay less than the minimum wage. And if you're a woman, you've got the best chance of getting one. Why would a 45-year-old woman work all day in a laundry ironing shirts at 90-something cents an hour? Because she knows there's some place lower she could be. She could be on welfare. Society needs women on welfare as examples to let every woman, factory workers and housewives, workers alike, know what will happen if she lets up, if she laid off, if she tries to go it alone without a man. So these ladies stay on their feet or on their knees all their lives. Instead of asking why they're only getting 90-some cents an hour, instead of daring to fight and complain. Maybe we poor welfare women will really liberate in this country. We've already started on our own welfare plan. Along with the welfare recipients, we have organized so we can have some voice. Our group is called the National Welfare Rights Organization. We put together our own welfare plan called the Guaranteed Adequate Income, GAI, which could eliminate sexism from welfare. There could be no categories: men, women, children, single, married, kids, no kids, just poor people, I need a drink, who need aid. You get paid according to need and family size only, and what would be upped as the cost of living goes up, and that would be upped. As far as I'm concerned, the ladies of NWRO are the frontline troops of women's freedom, both because we have so few illusions and because our issues are so important to all women. The right to a living wage for women's work, the right to life itself. This is 1972. She's saying the melanated woman at this time is the most undereducated, most underemployed, but if we're honest, like she said, has been working for generations, out of slavery, post-slavery, Jim Crow, all up and through, all the way to the 70s and today. She has been working, but she has not necessarily been getting compensation for her work. And for whatever reason that the man is not able to provide, and they have to avail themselves to the system now becomes the man and pushes out the man. So we saw in another video where the brother was saying that the system has victimized both parties. The children and grandchildren of said people are now finding themselves in a position where some took the advice, many got off welfare, many began to educate themselves and make sure that they can be in a position, and sad enough to say, with or without a man, to be able to stand on their feet. And now this is the new problem. Right? Now this becomes the new problem. Before, you were on welfare and you were dependent on the system, and you told your children, or especially your girl children, go to school, get your education so you won't be like grandma. You won't be like grandma or auntie. Now you do, and now that is creating another issue and another problem to look at. I want to come back and talk more about this because this is very fascinating and very interesting, and it was referred while I was doing a study to Johnnie Tillman. And let me see if I can read you a little bit about Johnnie Tillman. Or maybe we should come back and do so. Nah, we can read a little right here. Johnnie Tillman was an American welfare rights activist born in Scott, Arizona. In Arkansas in 1926. A migrant sharecropper's daughter, she moved to California in 1959 and worked as a union shop steward in Compton Laundry. Tillman became ill in 1963 and was advised to seek welfare. So she said anything could happen. It's like a car accident. Something could happen to you and boom, you can't maintain yourself, right? She soon learned how welfare recipients were harassed by caseworkers. To fight this treatment, Tillman organized people in the housing project and founded one of the first grassroots welfare mothers organizations called ANC, Aid to Needy Children, Mothers Anonymous. In 1963, Mothers later became a part of the National Welfare Rights Organization. She quickly emerged as a leader and became a chairperson of the NWRO. Together with other welfare mothers, she struggled for adequate income, dignity, justice, and democratic participation. Even after she went off welfare, Tillman remained a committed welfare rights activist until her death in 1995 at the age of 69. In 1979, she married the jazz musician Harvey Blackstone and continued to live in Los Angeles, where she headed the National Welfare Rights Organization on the local level. Her name now graces daycare centers and housing developments, a small reminder of her lasting influence on welfare as women's issue. So she marries after she has 6 children, and she marries a jazz musician. I thought nobody was going to, I'm sorry, let me not get off the point here. But this is very interesting. How many people, let me know in the comment section, what else do you know about Johnnie Tillman? If you can share more information, I would love to hear it. But this is interesting because as you talk about, oh, she chose welfare over the man, or is it like the woman in the other video was saying that she was made to choose between the two? Because if you're having children and if you're making homes and you can't maintain it, and her first instinct is preservation, right? The preservation of the family, because the male and the female has 2 different charges, okay? 2 different purposes. Both are looking towards the future, but in very different ways. So when she has children and when she has a household, when she's functioning correctly, her thoughts is the preservation so that they can reach their maturation, right? So that they can grow in whatever way she has to make $1 out of 15 cents. She's going to use her imagination if she's within her right space, to do what she needs to do so that that family can move forward, or at least survive, right? And so if you put her in a position where the man is there, but he's not necessarily functioning fully in his purpose, and here comes something that is saying, hey, I'm going to give you this steady trickle, as opposed to the fighting and the arguing that comes about in a household when the man is not in his function, then she's not going to be in her function. And this is what happened in this time. The government is the one who says no man in the house. And we'll come back and read that no man in the house rule and how the government went about making sure that the black family was split apart due to economic strains. So with that said, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Let me know if you're enjoying it. Put your comments down below. And we're getting history as they left it for us. Thank you once again. Talk soon.